A tobacconist has exploded after a fiery ram raid.
Frightened neighbours had to flee their homes after the weekend's second firebombing attack.
Wait, move across the road, move across the road, go!
They've been able to get a foothold, and I regret that that's the case. But, you know, the best time to deal with this would have been 5 years ago. The second best time is to deal with it now, and that's what we're doing.
Illegal cigarettes have created a $5 billion a year black market, which has seen hundreds of shops firebombed, people killed, and billions of dollars ripped out of the budget as the tax take just goes down and down. So how has this become such a huge problem in Australia? Well, it all started about 15 years ago under the Gillard government, when then Health Minister Nicola Roxon brought in world-leading reforms for cigarette regulation. This included plain packaging rules, as well as a 25% excise on smokes. And for a while, these policies worked great. We saw smoking prevalence go down, while the tax take went up and up each year and peaked at about $16 billion annually.
Tobacco industry had started to find ways around the regulations that were put in place, particularly plain packaging regulations put in place a little more than a decade ago.
So what went wrong and when was the tipping point? It's hard to put an exact date on this, but in short, the cost of cigarettes has just gone up and up as the excise has increased year on year. Right now, the excise is worth about $28 of a $50 pack of cigarettes. In comparison, you can buy an illegal pack of smokes for between 13 and 18 bucks. This collided with the cost of living crisis, all of those interest rate rises along with other pressures. It's all led to consumers leaving the legal market altogether, with organised crime gangs seeing a perfect opportunity to swoop in. And as they've been fighting it out for a monopoly of this new black market, that's where we've seen the firebombings of tobacconists and convenience stores, and even some deaths, particularly in Victoria.
I'm on the couch, boys.
You got 24 hours. If you're not out here by the shop is going to get burnt down.
So how has government policy failed? Well, the government is investing some money to try to stamp out this issue. Labor's put in about $375 million of funding for the border force and the police force. The problem is, a lot of experts say that when you're looking at a $5 billion a year black market, which is only growing, that sort of funding is a drop in the ocean. The other problem is that as the world has changed, the government's approach to regulating tobacco has not.
We got advice sort of 12 to 18 months ago that steady reduction we'd seen really over the course of 30 years had started to stagnate, and that was in part a product of the lack of any real change in tobacco control.
So how do we fix it? Well, you've got states like Queensland calling on the federal government to just drastically increase the funding for border force. Then you've got New South Wales, who's calling on a freeze of the excise just while we get a plan sorted for how to stamp out the black market. Some economists are also calling for what we collect in tax from cigarettes to be more evenly split between the Commonwealth and the states, so that you have more of a buy-in from the states to want to crack down on this issue more. But no matter what economists or states or some cops are telling the government, Labor has been pretty clear it is not going to change its policy. Or, in the words of Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke, we're not going to let criminal gangs dictate health policy.
Well, we've got to change the risk-reward balance, really. I mean, the challenge here has been that organised crime saw this as a low-risk, high-reward market for them. There weren't many penalties, there wasn't much enforcement activity.
So the question now is it too late to put the genie back in the bottle? Is the tobacco black market here to stay in Australia, or can we still turn the ship around? A major wake-up call was in March, when the tax take from the tobacco excise was just about $7 billion, less than half of what it was at its peak. But backbenchers on both sides are calling for something more. Time will tell if we get it.